Welcome back to the Mark with a Mic podcast. I am your host, Austin Hicks, and as always, I am the Mark and I have the mic. We actually don't have a pay-per-view to talk about, surprisingly. It seems like I started this podcast right when all the pay-per-views started going on and stuff like that, but today we are going to kind of get back into the norm of what I want this podcast to be, whether it's talking about matches or news or just stuff that happened on the weekly show that I felt interested in talking about. That's what we're going to do today. We have some stuff about Roman possibly going to AAA, a tournament for being the number one contender for Roman's title in Mexico City. And then we also have some returns to talk about. We unfortunately have some injuries to talk about. And then we're going to get into a new segment on the show, but that is for a little bit later. Just a couple updates. We are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I didn't mean for that to take as long as it did. It's actually quite a process to get your stuff on those platforms, but we are there. And so if you consume your podcast in audio only form, you don't like watching the videos, you don't want to see my face, which I understand. Hopefully my voice is good enough. And yeah, you can watch or not watch, you can listen on Spotify and Apple, but as always, it will always be up on YouTube as well. We're on TikTok. The last few TikToks I've posted have gotten a really good response, so I appreciate that very, very much. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I've been told to start doing stuff on some other social media platforms. We're going to look into that later, but I wanted to get the big dogs out of the way, if you know what I mean. And yeah, that's about it for the updates. And we're going to get right into the first topic of the show. If you guys watched Raw on Monday, which if you didn't, I actually recommend it. It was one of the better Raws, I would say, of this entire year, pretty much. After the street fight with Jacob Fatu and Royce Keys, Roman came out and kind of gave his seal of approval for Jacob Fatu doing what he did to Royce. And then he goes to the back and Rey Mysterio stops him in gorilla position. And I thought this was actually kind of funny. Rey Mysterio goes, "So I don't know if you know this, but I'm actually the general manager of AAA." And Roman goes, "Yeah, I didn't, but I know now." So yeah, because why the hell would Roman even know that he is the general manager of AAA? He hardly even knows who the general manager is on the show that he's on. So it is what it is. Ray goes, "I have a proposition for you. I want to talk with you about something." And Roman goes, "Okay." So they walk off, and that's how Raw ends. A lot of people took this as Roman maybe doing an appearance for AAA or wrestling for AAA, maybe on Triple Mania, which is coming up in September. Or maybe it's September. I don't know. I think it's September. Yeah. But there was also people speculating that he was going to wrestle on that Worlds Collide show that they're having, I think in late September, which would make a lot of sense because it is the same day as AEW All Out. They're trying to counter program AEW like they always do for some reason. And a lot of people thought they were going to have Roman kind of boost up interest for that. I'm not saying that that's not going to be the case still. I wouldn't be surprised if they had Roman still appear on Worlds Collide or Triple Mania, because if what I'm about to say is all that comes into fruition, then I don't know if it was worthy of a ending spot on Raw. It was kind of like a post-credit scene, almost like you'd see in a fucking like Marvel movie or something. That's how I interpreted it. They revealed a couple days later that it was going to be a tournament for a shot at Roman's title for the Raw that's happening in Mexico City on September 14th. So Roman is wrestling on that Raw, which makes it the first time since the Raw on Netflix debut that he is wrestling on a weekly show. And the even crazier stat is it marks the first time that Roman is defending his title on a weekly show in 4 years. it's been since Triple H has taken over creative for WWE at least. So yeah, 4 years seems about right. I think it's cool that Roman wants to wrestle on weekly shows. He's not going to do it often, as you and I both know. I think everyone knows that Roman doesn't really wrestle weekly anymore. That doesn't bother me as much as it bothers other people, because I think, as long as he appears still, I don't think it's much of an issue. It's when we go months on end without him being present on the weekly shows is when it gets to be a problem for me. But I think the tournament is really cool. I think it's a good idea. It features a lot of AAA talent, hence the Rey Mysterio involvement. The matches are Penta versus Laredo Kid, Psycho Clown versus La Parka, Dragon Lee versus Dr. Wagner Jr., Ray Phoenix and Ray Phoenix versus El Fiscal. Fiscal? That's the only dude I'm really not aware of. I don't watch AAA as often as I would like to. I watch it when I remember to watch it, if I'm being honest. So I assume a lot of these matches are going to take place on AAA, like their weekly shows. Maybe a couple of these matches will be on Raw or SmackDown or something. Like I think Penta versus Laredo Kid should be on a Raw. I actually wouldn't mind to see Psycho Clown versus La Parka on a WWE weekly show, just to kind of get AAA's name out there, just to get more eyeballs on AAA talent. La Parka, it's not the same La Parka, obviously, but La Parka is a recognizable name in the wrestling world. So I think getting him on a weekly show and having him just do La Parka shit, I think it would be a nice promotion for AAA. But at the end of the day, I assume most of these matches will take place on AAA TV. There were reports that I don't know. I think these reports came from the Observer that El Grande Americano was the penciled in winner for this tournament, only for him to be not even in the tournament at all, which I think is hilarious. There's no other winner here that makes sense for me besides Penta. I think the final should be Penta versus Ray Phoenix. They're on opposite sides of the bracket, so they can meet each other in the finals. I think that would be great. I think they've been separated from each other long enough on WWE. I understand that they were probably supposed to come in together as the Lucha Brothers, but Ray Phoenix was hurt. Penta was ready to go, so they just debuted Penta and Ray Phoenix separately. But I think there's no other winner here besides Penta. I think Roman versus Penta in Mexico City with the Mexico City crowd. If it's similar to the crowd that we just got on AEW Grand Slam, I think it makes for a great environment. I don't know if the Raw is going to be in the same arena. I assume not, but that doesn't really matter. I don't think, as long as the crowd is hot for it. I think they're going to be hot for it because Roman doesn't wrestle weekly ever, pretty much, and Penta is always popular in Mexico. He's popular everywhere, but he is really seen in a different stratosphere in Mexico. I think it'll be a great match. I'm not expecting a title change. No one should be expecting a title change, but I think it leads for a great match. I think it leads for an interesting story. More AAA involvement in weekly WWE TV, I think, is great because they need to get more eyeballs on it. I'm surprised they didn't have Dominic in this at all. I understand he's the AAA world champion, so he has like other stuff that he has to do. But I think him just being in the tournament would have been nice. I think the reason why they didn't have him in the tournament is because he is the AAA world champion. And then you're having AAA talent possibly beat the world champion before Triple Mania. But I was personally just surprised that they didn't have him involved in this at all. So we're getting to after Roman and Penta. There's still the Worlds Collide show. If you give Roman and Penta enough time, like to build a story and build up to that Mexico City match, I think obviously the Bloodline can get involved, the Usos, and then at Worlds Collide, I think you can set up the dream match that people have been waiting for. I'm surprised WWE hasn't done it already, to be honest. I think you can do the Lucha Brothers versus the Usos. I really think you can. I think it would be a great match. Once again, I'm surprised they haven't done it already. I think they've kept Penta and Ray Phoenix separate long enough to where you finally market them as the Lucha Brothers, it would feel fresh, especially for WWE. I think it would feel really fresh. And you need big matches for that Worlds Collide show. I don't know what else is going to be on that show. I know all of them are signed to WWE, but you can still market it as AAA versus WWE, considering the ties that the Lucha Brothers have had to AAA. And I think it's one of the bigger tag matches that WWE can do that they haven't done yet. I think it's a great, that could honestly, I think that could honestly main event Worlds Collide, depending on what other matches are there. Obviously, if Roman does wrestle on that Worlds Collide show, it won't. It will not. I think it would be definitely one of the high marquee matches on Worlds Collide. I don't know who I would have win. I think you would have the Usos win because they are the established tag team in WWE. I think there is more than one way to make the Lucha Brothers feel like a formidable tag team and not have them win, take the Usos to the absolute limit, have them kick out of a 1D or Uso splashes, showcase how good of a tag team Penta and Rey Fenix are. But at the end of the day, I think you have the Usos win. And just circling back to Roman actually wrestling in Mexico City, I think it's very cool. Raw and WWE as a whole, they do live shows in Mexico, but as far as weekly TV, they just don't do it a whole lot. I think that it's going to make for a great atmosphere. I think the crowd's going to be losing their minds, especially for Penta, the false finishes that you can do. I want to see a false finish like how back in, I think it was 2015. It had to have been 2015. It was when Seth Rollins was WWE champion and he did the open challenge thing. Adrian Neville accepted the open challenge and he had one of the best near falls that I've ever seen. He hits the red arrow. It looks like he looks like he has him pinned, but Seth got his feet on the rope. The ref didn't see it at first, so he gets like really close to the mat before he sees it. Everyone bid on it. Neville sold it great, and I think you can do a near fall like that, and the crowd would come unglued, especially for Penta, especially for the run that Penta has been on. I think he deserves this. I think Penta absolutely has earned a main event spot here, especially after the Intercontinental title run that he just had. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, Roman versus Penta is the right way to go. I just don't see anyone else on here even coming close to winning this match, especially with how they presented Penta and they protect Penta. I think it's going to lead for a really, really good match. All right, so our next topic is we had some big returns. All three of them I'm very happy about. First, on the same episode of Raw, this was a very newsworthy episode of Raw. Liv Morgan was in the ring with Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez, and she proceeded to cut the same exact promo that she has cut. She said that she's the greatest women's world champion of all time, that she doesn't defend her title because no one will step up to wrestle her. And Io Sky, she gave Io Sky respect for doing so, but it was just the same cliche Liv Morgan stuff that she has been saying. After the match with Sol Ruca and Roxanne Perez, she tries to get back on the mic, but then Becky Lynch comes back. And then it is immediately followed up with Stephanie Vaquer. So Becky Lynch and Stephanie Vaquer are back. Becky Lynch had a little back and forth exchange with Liv. Becky is very much a babyface again, which, I personally prefer Becky as a heel. I think she's a great heel, but I understand that I think we haven't seen Becky since Clash in Italy, since she lost the Women's Intercontinental title to Sol Ruca, but she is now back into the main event scene here for the women's division. Same with Stephanie Vaquer, and I think that's great. I think it adds much needed top level depth to the Raw women's division. Two women that were sorely missed week to week. I think Becky can cut great promos. She can cut great matches. There's not many women that are better than Becky Lynch, and I truly do believe that. She had some really good digs at Liv Morgan here. She said, "You're not even the best champion in your group." She said, "You're not even the best champion that has slept with Dominic Mysterio," which got a big pop from the crowd. And then Stephanie Vaquer came out. She brawled with Liv and all of the Judgment Day. And then she got into the ring, and there was a big stare down with Becky Lynch. There was, I think, I forget what was said. I think Stephanie said, like, that title is mine, or stay out of my way, or something like that. And Becky said, like, what if I don't? It was it was very intense. It looked very good. If you want to run Becky versus Stephanie first, and then whoever wins that does go on to challenge Liv Morgan at the next pay-per-view or Saturday night's main event, because I don't think they have one in September. I think the next pay-per-view is Money in the Bank. I think actually what you could do is you could do Stephanie versus Becky on that Saturday night's main event in September, and then the winner goes on to Money in the Bank and wrestles Liv. I know that means we're going on 2 more months of Liv not wrestling, which I don't really like, but it's not that hard to just have Liv Morgan wrestle and defend her belt. But I don't trust WWE in actually doing that. I have given up on caring about this Liv Morgan run. Yes, Becky Lynch and Stephanie add stuff to it, but I'm much more interested in seeing who takes it off of Liv first. I think it's going to be Becky. I'll be honest. I think Becky is going to be the one to take it off Liv Morgan. Stephanie had a run with the title, and not to say it was bad or anything, but we haven't seen Becky hold a world title, in a few years. After the great work that she did with the IC belt, she really elevated that title as much as she could. What they have done after Becky having that belt is kind of a shame, considering all the work that she did. But I think enough time has passed. It's kind of similar to Charlotte on SmackDown, where I think enough time has passed to give Becky Lynch a world title run. And at the end of the day, I could be wrong. They could just put it right back on to Stephanie. Becky turns heel, and then that's the big feud for the rest of the year, Stephanie and Becky. I personally wouldn't mind that, but I think at the end of the day, having Becky beat Liv and then, kind of doing the same thing she did with the IC belt, fighting kind of the younger talent, giving Roxanne Perez a shot, or Sol Ruca, or just people that we haven't seen in that world title scene in a while. When it comes to Raw, I mean, a lot of these women, a lot of the new women are debuting on SmackDown, right? But on Raw, you got a lot of talent that aren't being used that much. Roxanne Perez comes to mind. Raquel Rodriguez. I know she's the women's IC champion, but she's so much more capable of doing more. You have, I don't know where Ivy Nile is. I don't know if Ivy Nile's hurt or what. I know she's doing stuff on AAA, but how about we get her back on the weekly stuff? But yeah, at the end of the day, I think Becky and Stephanie both being back, I think is fantastic. I think it adds a lot of depth. You can, just with those 3 to 4 people alone, with Becky, Stephanie, Liv, Roxanne, Sol Ruca, you can have all of them kind of intertwined with each other. I don't know where Lyra Valkyria fits into all this. She should fit into this somehow, but her heel work, I haven't seen enough of it to determine if I like it or not. I think the idea of it is nice, but she hasn't been on TV a whole lot. I know she gets the promo spots while they're in commercial. I don't see those. I don't have a VPN. I just watch on normal vanilla Netflix, so I don't see those. I see them on Twitter and stuff like that, and I just don't know. She has to find it first, in my opinion. I think it's not that she's doing a bad job. It just doesn't come off as genuine, in my opinion, this heel persona that she's going on. If they didn't want to ice Bayley for the rest of her contract, which it seems like they're doing, you could throw Bayley in there. But, that's just kind of how WWE does things. Once you decide that you're not going to re-sign, they just stop using you. I That's not a that's not a WWE thing either. That's just a wrestling thing. AEW does the same shit. I don't know why. You only gather up more interest in seeing them again, rather than, out of sight, out of mind is their philosophy. I don't really agree with that philosophy. I think once you stop putting them on TV, you only raise questions like, oh, where's Bailey? Why is she not on TV? When is she going to come back? And all of a sudden you see her pop up in AEW, and it's just like, oh, okay. But I think having Bailey come back would add a lot of depth. But at the end of the day, Becky and Stephanie is a good start. Ultimately, I would have Becky win the belt off of Liv. Liv can then finally start to make her way out of the Judgment Day. Hopefully the Judgment Day just doesn't exist anymore. I think there's a good story there. I think once she loses the title, I think you can kind of show the cracks in the Judgment Day, showing that she doesn't have power over Roxanne or Raquel or even Dominic, because Dominic is champion and she's not. JD is JD. He's just lucky to be in the group, if we're being honest. But I think this could ultimately lead to the end of the Judgment Day, and I think that would help everybody out a lot more. But I think Stephanie and Becky being back is a really great thing. All right, now switching over to the AEW side, because there was a big return on AEW Dynamite, Grand Slam Mexico, whatever you want to call it. Andrade was in a qualifying match with Commander and Tommaso Ciampa for the number 1 spot in the Casino Battle Royale at All In. That's happening in a couple weeks. Andrade won. He cut a promo, and then all of a sudden, MJF's music hit. And Andrade looked towards the ramp. He wasn't there or anything like that. And he comes from behind, lays him out, and he cuts a promo, basically saying that Will Ospreay costed him the main event spot, and that he was shit talking Andrade, saying that he's nothing compared to me. He's second rate. He then proceeds to pull out the Triple B, the beautiful Burberry belt. It's the AEW title that he holds, and he's doing a real world champion gimmick, kind of similar to what CM Punk was doing before he got fired from AEW. I personally think that's hilarious. The parallels between the two seemingly will never stop. It was a really good promo. He said at the end that next week, this upcoming Wednesday on Dynamite, they would have another triple threat for the number 2 spot in the Casino Battle Royale, and MJF put himself in that match. He said he's going to win that match and go on to win the Casino Battle Royale, saying that he's going to win the title that he never should have lost. That's fine, in my opinion. I would have much rather have preferred just a singles match between MJF and Andrade, because that's kind of what this story is. It's more MJF and Andrade, but you add the layer of MJF claiming to be the real AEW World Champion. He still has his version of the belt. It adds name value to the Casino Battle Royale. I don't want him to win because he already has done this. He won it a year ago already, and it would just kind of be recycling the same stuff. I think I would have Andrade win the Casino Battle Royale. I would have Andrade pin MJF just to kind of add another layer into the story. And then after that is when you can run the singles match between the two, probably at All Out. But MJF being back is great. He is one of, if not the biggest name in AEW. He knocks it out of the park every single time, whether it's a promo or in the ring or a backstage segment. There is nothing that he does that doesn't turn to gold, in my opinion. So having a guy like that back after not that long layoff, because if you guys remember, after Kenny Omega beat him on Beach Break, the main rumor coming out of that was MJF was really hurt. He needed to take time off. A lot of people were saying that he was more than likely going to miss All In entirely, which now looking back on it is hilarious, because either if he was hurt or not, I don't see a way to take MJF off that show. MJF's a big name, whether you like it or not. He moves tickets. He's a big star. He is almost needed for All In. I think All In will always be like all hands on deck situation for AEW, as it should be. It's like how WrestleMania is. where you try and get the most amount of people on the card as possible. Doing a casino battle royale exactly does that. And yeah, I still wouldn't have him win. I don't like the idea of him winning, but it's cool to have him in the match. I think the Casino Battle Royale, I know a lot of people don't like it. I do like it. It's basically it's a Royal Rumble with pinfalls, but I like all the, I'm a simple guy. You throw fucking like 35 wrestlers at me and I'm going to have fun watching. That's just the way it is. That's what the Royal Rumble is. That's what the Casino Battle Royale is. I don't like the change that they made last year. You have to call your shot a week in advance. I don't really like that a whole lot because I kind of like the idea of it being like Money in the Bank, where you can do it at any place, anytime, no matter what. But I understand WWE parallels. They're trying to shed away from that. So I understand it. But MJF being in another high profile match, it's not the main event, which a lot of people feel like he should be in. It's not, but it's not like a nothing match either. It is a match with stakes. It's a match that, has a lot of variables in it, like Andrade, like MJF. So I think it's a good idea. I think having MJF back is great. I think all of these people coming back is really good for wrestling, especially when you get big names like this coming back, like Becky, like Stephanie, like MJF. So yeah, a lot of big returns happened this week, but unfortunately, we do have some unfortunate news to talk about, and it contains Rhea Ripley. So at SummerSlam, Chelsea Green won the ladder match for the interim women's world title, or the WWE Women's Championship, whatever they call it. It was supposed to be an interim title, and then whenever Rhea was ready to come back, they were going to do a unification match or title for title, whatever the hell. But it was announced by Rhea herself that she had surgery on her knee. And usually with knee injuries, knee surgeries, it's never just a simple recovery. That's just the way it is, unfortunately. And she may be out a while. I don't know if a timetable has been announced about when she could come back. I would assume it's a few months, but at the end of the day, I would assume that it's actually going to be a while because they made Chelsea Green just the permanent women's world champion. So now she is now the official WWE women's champion. And it really sucks for Rhea because she doesn't get injured a whole lot. I can only think of like one other time that she's gotten hurt, but she actually came back like relatively quick from that. I think she said this is the first time that she's ever actually needed surgery on anything, which that really does suck. That's really unfortunate for her. I think losing a star like Rhea Ripley, she is easily the biggest women's name that WWE has, and just the biggest name and one of the bigger names in WWE, period. I think that's obviously going to hurt. That's a blow for them. It really sucks for Rhea. I hope that she can come back soon. I hope recovery goes well. I think SmackDown is going to be okay in her absence. I don't think it's like a detrimental loss to SmackDown because they've done a good job of elevating other talent. They've done good stuff with Lash Legend and The Fatal Influence, Chelsea Green, Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss came back this last week on SmackDown. So that's another name. Tatum Paxley just debuted and she's going to be with Charlotte and Alexa. That's a name that can get people interested. So it's not like, Rhea goes down and the whole division falls apart. It's a big loss. It's a loss that no one can really fill Rhea Ripley's shoes, but I think that SmackDown overall is going to be okay as long as this isn't like a super long recovery for her. I don't know if it is. I know her being like in a brace and kind of unable to walk on her own. I saw a video of her in crutches. That's kind of alarming in my opinion. That's kind of an alarming sight. But at the end of the day, none of that matters as long as she's fine. She's healthy. She can get back to where she was before because she was honestly doing really good work. I thought she was having great matches when she was healthy. Those 2 matches with Jade, I thought were fantastic. The WrestleMania match and then the match at Clash in Italy, I think was when their second match was. It's never a pleasant thing to talk about. It's never nice to talk about someone getting hurt. It's never something that you hope to see. Like you never want to see someone get hurt, especially in wrestling because it's a physical sport. It takes a lot away and any knee injury should be taken as serious as possible. I know wrestlers have the mentality of coming back and trying to get back as quick as possible. I think when you go into the lower half of your body, I think you need to take the appropriate amount of time because the knee, there's just too many working variables in it. There's so many different bones and muscles and joints and stuff like that. So I think it's very important that she takes the time off. Rhea's been going kind of full time ever since she's been in WWE. So I think this kind of gives her a break. I think wrestlers should always take breaks when they need it. And I'm not saying that Rhea needed it, but I'm just saying that, once if you're going 100% all the time, I think it can obviously lead to injuries or burnout or just overall wear and tear on your body. And this gives Rhea the time to rest up. I still don't even know what the injury was. I know it's her knee. It was obviously serious enough to get surgery on it. So at the end of the day, I hope Rhea does come back just the same or even better as she was. But in her absence, I think SmackDown is going to be okay. Chelsea actually having a legit run with this title, I think is going to be great. We'll see how long she actually has this title. I don't envision her having it for a very long time. They should have never done the interim stuff to begin with. I think they should have just vacated the title, took it off Rhea, and whoever won that ladder match on SummerSlam was just the champion. I can't believe that they were actually going to try and run the interim stuff when you watch a video of Rhea Ripley and the woman can't even walk. I really do hope Rhea gets back from this. All right, so the last little bit I got here is a new segment I want to do for when we don't have pay-per-views or, we're talking about matches and stuff like that. It is the match of the week. It is going to be matches that were on weekly TV, live special or something like that is not on pay-per-view. It's a great match during the week. It's just matches that I have seen, whether it's AEW, WWE, TNA, or just any kind of wrestling that I watch and I really like the match. It is going to get the match of the week award. This is just my opinion. This is only my opinion. It's kind of like how the star ratings work. It is just one man's opinion. If you get offended or angry, it's wrestling. It's subjective. It is just what one man thinks. And I'm going to give the match of the week to Kyle Fletcher versus Speedball Mike Bailey for the AEW International Championship. That happened this past week on AEW Grand Slam, Mexico. This was a fantastic match. This was the third match in their trilogy of matches that they've had. I think this is their best one. I think it was one of the best TV matches of the entire year. It was physical, like how all of their matches are. The atmosphere was great, just like I said before with the Mexico crowd. This only furthers my claim that Kyle Fletcher is the wrestler of the year so far. I think Kyle Fletcher is entering best wrestler in the world territory. I really do. He is on fucking fire right now. He is going out there every single time and killing it. He is not going through the motions. He's not only giving half the effort. He goes in there, works his ass off, and he puts out great matches every single week. Same with Speedball Mike Bailey. I think what Speedball Mike Bailey has been doing since they broke up, him and Kevin Knight, I think he's done really good work. Just the physicalness of this match, the spot outside the ring where Fletcher hits like the long dart onto Speedball and he crashes into the barricade. It made a great noise. It looked brutal. Or Speedball had a great near fall here where it genuinely looked like there could be a title change. He hits all of his big moves. He hits the shooting star knee drop. I forget right now what it's called, but it was a great near fall. Fletcher's offense just, it looks real. You know what I mean? It's not like it's not like overproduced. It's not spot heavy. It's literally a guy that walks in there and just beats the shit out of you, and it looks like it. The kicks, the brainbuster on the apron was brutal. Speedball always sells it well. Speedball always makes his shit look believable. I think this could be a match where 3 years from now we could see this main eventing for the AEW World Title. I think Fletcher is ready for the main event spot. I know they're having the story of in-group conflict with the Don Callis family that should come to a head at All In. I still think we're getting a triple threat match between Fletcher and Okada and Takeshita. I can't wait for that match. Okada, when he locks in and he is motivated, he is still one of the greatest of all time. Fletcher is on the run of his life right now. He is having a career year, which is crazy to say because earlier this year he got hurt. He didn't miss too much time, which really helped him, I think. And ever since he's been back, he is producing fantastic matches every single week. But this match, it felt like a pay-per-view match. It was the longest match, I think. It was over 20 minutes, I know that. But it was fantastic. I cannot recommend watching this match enough. If you have, I assume the replay's on HBO Max. So if you have HBO Max, I really do recommend watching this. And it gets match of the week honors for me. All right, and that will just about do it for this episode. A little bit shorter of an episode. This is kind of how I want the format to go on non-pay-per-view shows. Because I think 45 minutes to an hour is a good length for just one guy talking in your ear. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm on Spotify, I'm on Apple Podcasts, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, whatever you can think of, you can probably find me on it. Thank you so much for watching, listening, reacting, whatever you do. It means the absolute world to me, and I hope you have a great rest of your day because you absolutely deserve it. All right, bye.